Hi everybody, it's Dawn and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, there's a few things to go on today. We have Alaska saying that they're going to try and get by the Jones Act and they're going to try and bypass Canada because of the turmoil that's going on right now between the tariff war that's happening. They have Royal Caribbean's coming out with premium excursions that they're calling like the skip the line, and I'll explain a little bit about what those are all about. And then here in Belize and Roatan, we're having a lot of people that are kept being caught off guard by the new regulations, and they're booking shore excursions that they thought were one thing, and it turns out to be something completely different. So recently, the province of British Columbia, as well as the states of Alaska, have been coming at odds with British Columbia saying they were going to start charging certain taxes on cruise ships, and then the governor in USA wants to bypass Canada altogether and say by not stopping in Vancouver, not having to stop in Canada on the cruise like the law says currently they have to do, they will greatly increase the tourism in United States and especially in Alaska. However, I don't really think that's true. For one thing, people love to stop in places like Vancouver and Victoria. They're beautiful stops along the way. But another thing is many of the ships, like leaving from Seattle, when they're on their way back, literally stop in Victoria, BC for 3 hours. So I don't think they're really going to increase much spending in Alaska. And at the same time, they're talking about greatly expanding the tourism in Alaska by doing this. They have places like Sitka that are holding a vote to start limiting cruise ships. They just had Juneau come out and try to limit cruise ships on Saturdays as well as the 4th of July. So until they actually come out and maybe stop the cruise ports from trying to limit cruise ships, I don't think there's any hope in any way of stopping the cruise ships from using Canada as a destination, especially with the amount of ships that are now going to Alaska. They're already having to skip some Alaska ports. You're lucky to get the big three in your trip these days because of the congestion in the cruise ports, and they need Canada to spread it out more. You could spend an extra night in Seattle, I guess, is one option, or just spend another sea day. But again, that's not helping Alaska any better. That's not helping Vancouver and Victoria, BC any better. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But I honestly don't think that's going anywhere at all. Next, Royal Caribbean is coming out with what they're calling signature shore excursions, where they're promising, a VIP kind of experience where you would have more premium transportation. You would have more, a higher end meal with your trip. You would have skip the line privileges if you're at a place with a tender. And they're going to be offering these sort of things in Europe, for the Mediterranean for one, Alaska, and in the Caribbean. And they're saying that this will be, they'll have local guides instead of just, random guides, but it's always local guides wherever you go. If you go to Belize, it's usually a local guide who's guiding you. If you go to Alaska, it's usually a local guide who's guiding you. But they are saying also premium things like if you're in Alaska, instead of being on a large group seeing whale watching, you might be in a small group and you might be on a private yacht. That sort of experience. And again, the skip the line kind of trip. Well, of course, the signature experience will most likely come with a signature price tag attached to it. And I haven't seen any of the prices for these yet. But if you're doing small group and you're doing premium, transportation, and you're doing premium food, I'm guessing you're going to be paying a premium price as well. But for those people who can afford it and want the small group experience, this is a really good thing. that Royal is offering, and they're not cutting back on any of the other shore excursions that are offered for everybody else who just wants to do a normal shore excursion in these destinations. So just a little add-on for those who can cough up the money, shall we say. A polite way to say it. Those with more means than I have. Let's put it that way. Next, we also have a lot of people being caught off guard in Roatan. My ship arrives tomorrow morning, well, today when you see this video, for Roatan. And the excursions have changed. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. You want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from the new shore excursion changes that might affect where you want to go during your trip, to the new ships coming online, to ship reviews, to room tours, to just talking about the cruise news and what people are talking about on a day-to-day basis. Yes, a day-to-day basis. And I hope you'll join us here. It doesn't cost anything, but it really helps the channel out when you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, hit a like, even hit the dislike. How do you leave a dislike? You hit that like button twice. It really shows that you don't like that video. So there you go. All right, Roatan has just recently come under a new law of handling animals, especially the monkeys and the sloths that are very popular here in this destination. Place like Daniel Johnson's, you'd be able to go. They would have a photographer there with you. They would follow you around, take selfies of you holding the animals. And these places are very reputable places. They are sanctuaries. They actually do rescue animals, etc. Animals that would not survive going back out into the wild. And they're very reputable places. However, unfortunately, there are unreputable places as well that are being targeted. And the government just confiscated and found 5 young baby sloths being smuggled into Roatan, and they said kind of enough is enough, and now they have outlawed being able to touch and hold these animals, which means when you go to Daniel Johnson's, for instance, where you used to be able to put the sloth, pose for pictures, that's no longer possible. You will be able to have a guide hold the sloth for you while you pose beside it, but you won't actually get to hug the sloths like you have been in the past. Many people haven't realized this yet, and because it's a brand new law, it just came in about 2 weeks ago, and now the fines for these places are really high and really strong. And a lot of people say it does put a lot of stress on the animals when people hold them and things like that. They're usually very well maintained, and the reputable places have enough of the sloths that it's not the same 1 or 2 sloths all day long. They switch them out, so it's a very limited time. They're very well regulated, but unfortunately, it's a few bad apples that ruin it for everybody out there, like normal. And yeah, the government's come up with this law, and they have to follow it as well. And there are some harsh things being said on some of the websites saying, well, we used to be able to do this, and we can't now. I'll never go back. And they're kind of blaming those places. And they shouldn't blame those places. They should blame the local officials who made this rule, who perhaps should have been looking at, okay, the sanctuary places that are regulated and we monitor, those are acceptable, but other places who don't have licenses and, things like that, maybe those are the ones they should be concentrating on. But it's hard to do stuff like that, make a law that picks one side over others. It kind of smells of privilege. And so they just have to make that law for one, and everybody pays the price, again, like I said, for a few bad apples. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? Do you think Alaska would make a lot more money if they never have to stop in Canada? Or do you think, yeah, there's not enough room in Alaska now for the cruise ships. How are they going to add more stops? They're not. It's impossible. They don't have enough room as there is for the ships that want to go there now. Yeah, it's a weird situation. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.